We are beautifully, melanated.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Beautifully Melanated podcast. We are recording a day early this week. We have a wonderful special guest joining us. And so we are going a bit early. We hope you enjoy this episode. I'm here with my co-host.
Hi, I'm Karen. And we have, as Kay says, a very special guest called Eileen.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Eileen. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Eileen.
I'm excited to be here, actually.
Thank you for coming.
So, guys, before we kind of jump into this episode and we meet Eileen and speak to her about her experiences, etc., I wanted to do What in the World this week. Now, my What in the World is about a documentary on Netflix, which I found absolutely intriguing. It's called The Hatchet-Wielding Hitchhiker. It's a story about a guy called Caleb Lawrence. Now, I haven't done the research to find out how old Caleb was. He liked to be known as Kai. He was actually called Caleb Kai Lawrence, but he went known as Kai. I think he was about, I want to say early 20s. He looks about that when this was happening. So Kai was a homeless man. I think it was in California or LA or something that he lived. And he came across a situation. So there was a racist man who intentionally was trying to plow into somebody whilst they were stationary on the road. This guy, Kai, seemed to come out of nowhere with a hatchet. And he then smacked this racist guy. I'm not sure if he was out the car at this point or in the car, but he basically smacked him 3 times on the head. Now, a lot of people might have run off at that point, but not Kai. Kai waited until the police and everybody arrived, basically. And, you know, people were flocking around him. And they said, "What did you do? What happened here?" And he said, "Oh, you know, I basically smashed him over the head with my hatchet." And he said he went smash, smash, smash. And then within seconds, it became a meme. And everyone was going smash, smash, smash. And it kind of all took off. And then within seconds, it felt like, or minutes, everybody wanted to get a piece of Kai, and people were saying they wanted to marry him. America was saying, you know, he was wonderful, etc., etc. And he kind of rocketed to fame. And it was quite obvious, I thought, when I kind of looked at this documentary, that Kai blatantly had I'd say learning difficulties. He was possibly autistic, and he was definitely alcoholic, which was spoken about later. So he kind of was rocketed to fame. The Kardashians producers got involved, said he was wonderful. He said to the media that he's been raped. He also said to the media that he was locked in his room by his mother when he was young, and a blanket was kind of put on the window. So they interviewed the mother, and the mother came on and said, "Oh, yes, I actually did. Yeah, I did lock him in his room because I like to sleep a bit longer than him. So I decided to lock him in his room." I thought, what? So that was kind of his childhood. They said I was poor, but they said, "So why did you have to black out the whole room with a heavy blanket?" She goes, "Oh, I didn't have any money." It's kind of that. It was weird. So he ended up going off with this older man. He was seen at a train station on a CCTV with an older man. He then went back with the older man to his house, and he then reported that this older man had raped him. Now, he went on to kill this man after that, and this ended up with Kai getting 57 years incarceration. And my kind of what in the world was, I just felt that this young homeless man, who I strongly feel is autistic, has been exploited. I mean, America seemed to love the fact that he had no filter. And at one point, a reporter said, "I was trying to get as much of Kai out to the nation as possible," which I found like Kai is a man, Kai is a human. You know, he's not a commodity. So I just really felt that a man with these kind of issues had been really exploited. And yes, obviously he did hit the man over the head with a hatchet, but would he have killed that older man had he been in a different situation, I guess? I mean, I feel that his rocket to stardom pushed out on the stage on this, a show where everyone thought he was so hilarious because he had no filter. I felt that kind of pushed him into a place where he may then be meeting these kind of wealthy older men, which is who he went on to kill. Would he have met this wealthy older man if he'd still been sitting on the beach in California homeless? Or was it his rocket to fame that put him in these kind of circles? He may have been triggered by this older man. Yes, sure, they may have had sex, but he may have been triggered by him and then ended up killing him. Now he's going to be in prison till he's like, pushing 80, He's not coming out of prison. There's videos of him in there. He's not, the way he speaks to the nation, Kai, is still cracking jokes that no one's going to take him seriously. So basically, I don't know, ladies. What do you think about this situation? Do you feel that maybe he's been exploited? Or do you feel like this might have happened anyway? What's your thoughts on it? I thought it was quite a weird documentary, but it's quite interesting. So do any of you have any thoughts on this weird Netflix phenomenon?
Sarah, I actually don't watch documentaries of serial killing or anything like that. It's just not my genre. But, okay, can I just clarify a few things? Firstly, did he kill the man with the hatchet or just beat him up?
He didn't kill him. He beat him up, put him in hospital.
Right. And then...
somehow he got away with it, Kay. Don't know how.
I was going to say.
He did. Became a
this man
star.
is incredible. This is my problem. How have we gone? How do we get to romanticize assault?
I don't know.
And
We got
murder.
from hatchet wheeling to I love him and I want to marry him. That in itself is pretty sick, surely.
This is a very vulnerable person. Child abuse,
Exactly.
neglect, sexually abused.
Yep.
Probably some additional learning need. And somehow he became a thirst trap.
He used to also...
Like Jeffrey Dahmer did. Like people were thirsting over it.
Exactly. People love Dahmer. He went to the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Kay, and he peed on the star, on the star thing.
Oh my God.
And he went to this show, I forgot what it's called now. He went to this show for this famous kind of celebrity as a chat show. And there's a banner of the celebrity outside in the car park, and he just peed on the face of the banner.
Wow.
And
this guy...
You can't do that. You just can't do that. And he goes, why not?
So they were willing to give him all of that, but not psychotherapy. Not
No.
some help to recover from his early traumatic experiences, but let's exploit him.
They gave him money, Kay. They gave him money when he went to the show, and he went and gave the money to the security guard of the show and said that'll cover the peeing on the banner. He gave the money.
I try not to laugh, for God's sake. So there are people with genuine talent who cannot break into mainstream entertainment, and then you pick someone up off the street who's incredibly vulnerable. You don't offer any psychiatric or any therapeutic intervention, and you make him a star. How was he supposed to handle that?
Well, he was given a surfboard and told, there you go, mate, this is your dream. Because in a delusion, he felt that he was a surfer. And then they went into that delusion and gave him a surfboard.
So clear mental health issues there.
Yeah.
The delusion, the out of touch with reality. I feel sorry for him. I do.
So do I.
And now he's in prison. I can't imagine he's going to get a lot of therapy in there either. So
he's trying to get remand. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. For me, it's a clear reflection on society and humanity that we would sooner exploit someone than support them. Yeah, it's going to be a no from me. I will not be watching.
Really, Kay? Oh, that's a shame. But I agree. It just disturbed me that they exploit this young man. And
I'd even go before that and say that as a child, I think he clearly slipped through the net, didn't he? Because he was, that's abuse, neglect by his mother. So I think that the system failed him from a very early age. I wonder how school hadn't noticed, how, he went.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, go on.
Now saying, but school isn't going to pick that up for a black male. They're not going to pick that up.
Oh, he was white. He was white.
He's white.
Yeah, he's white.
And I'm thinking this person's black.
Yeah, no, he was white. He was he was white, but he was like a kind of white boy. But he was he had no support. Mum wasn't really at home. She worked all hours. And there was a cousin that they interviewed as well. But the cousin just said, he was in a PRU, or their version of a PRU, from pretty much year 7.
Eileen, I knew he wasn't black. For a start, that they made him into a star, gave him money, took him to... They don't do that to black people.
They gave him a free bar. They gave him a free bar.
They gave him a free bar. And secondly, serial killing is not our portion. We're not known for serial killing. But it made me laugh. Yeah, he's right.
I don't know how I picked that one up. That he was black.
Yeah, he's it was a real shocker. It was quite disturbing, and it was I just felt that they could have helped him, but instead they knew that he was alcohol dependent, and they said, "Here's a free bar." There's things like that. It's just there. Yeah. Anyway, ladies. So moving on, Karen.
Okay. Yes. So we have been talking about children's mental health, and we will continue this series. But today, like I said before, we have a very special guest called Eileen. Now, I have known Eileen my whole life, really, because we grew up together. We grew up in Bristol together. So, yeah, we've known each other for a long time. Now, Eileen has lived a very colourful life. I'm sure you wouldn't mind me describing it as that. You have had to deal with some really difficult and challenging experiences. I think you have come through adversity, and you are now back on track doing some amazing things. So I'm just really pleased to have you here. We all are. And we would just like you to share your story with us. So first, I'm going to ask, tell us a little bit about your early life. So, as I said, you grew up in Bristol, but a little bit more about that family life.
Family life, I've got my 3 siblings. My mum had divorced, I think I was about 8, and they got divorced. That's how we moved on to Woodward Street. When I was 8, yeah. And then it was just like the house was always packed. It's like, you've got family all the time in your house. It's like, and I'm the youngest. And I was very reserved, very quiet, you know. Then we went on holiday. We went to Jamaica when I was little, and we came back. My auntie died. The woman I was living with, my mum's sister, she died. And I couldn't process it. I was thinking, why are these people crying? She's dead, yeah. But I just couldn't take it. It's really weird. Maybe because I was so young, I couldn't process it. Then we ended up moving from Woodward Street. We went up to Greenbank. But that age, being like 9, it's about 8 and 11, I was abused, sexually abused. And I never ever told my mum that. I told my mum that I told my sister when I was 16, I told my mum I think that's when I came out. I actually told her. Yeah, and then sorry, I got a block.
That's all right. So you were saying, okay, so then you moved to Greenbank.
Yeah.
And the thing is, because I'm from Bristol, I recognise all these places. So, yeah, go ahead. And then
I was wondering where Greenbank is. It is in Bristol.
It's in Bristol.
Yeah, it's in Bristol. Yeah, but my mum had a divorce when we was at Woodward Street. So my dad, I didn't really see my dad that often, but my mum would always encourage us to phone him, keep in contact. You know what I mean? It would give us a little change to go to the phone box. You know, to MP went a long way. Then sometimes it would come down. Then my mum had cancer, she had breast cancer. Then it was always some drama. It's always something happening. Then my brother got locked up, my eldest brother. He was 15. He was 15, but then they put him in an adult prison. He should be in Bristol. He went to adult prison. Then, where did we move? Where did we move to? I think it was this house where I am now, Chelsea Park. Yeah, no, actually, before that, I got in, before we left Greenbank, I got into London College of Fashion. But my dad was living in London. So I thought to myself, my dad would allow me to stay with him while I did a course and things like that. I said no, go back to Bristol. So that was never knocked back for me again. And when I came back now, 2 months later, 3 months later, I got pregnant with my daughter. Had her at 17 and then very young. Then I went to London to live. I went to London after independently on. Left my daughter with my mum. I used to work for Ben Bloom. Do you know Ben Bloom?
No, I don't. What is that?
He was a designer.
Oh, okay.
He's designed for, remember their name, what's that label called? Live in a City of Shoreditch. I can't remember. Anyway, I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, so, but then I spent about 2 years in Bristol, came back, in London, I came back to Bristol. Came to Bristol, lived with my mum, and meeting. I had friends around me, but they weren't really that close. When I came back, we became closer, go up and down with them. But I know they were like street hustlers. They wasn't one to really work or anything like that. So you end up falling into a trap. Like you want to be like them, innit? You want to do what they do, which was not a good thing. Yeah, so went on a holiday. We went on a holiday. I ended up being set up with drugs. I thought it was weed, and it ended up being cocaine. So I come back from there. That's the worst thing. Coming back thinking, and then they tell you once they tell you you've got cocaine in bottles. I was like, no, this is crazy. So I had to, if I had put a guilty plea in that I thought it was weed, I'd have been found guilty there and then. So I had to try and get out of it, so I went not guilty to anything. Then off to Holloway. That was it. At the start of my, I could handle it. I had to go on remand. I could handle it. But the stress of it, my daughter was very, she couldn't deal with it. She was 12. Obviously, 12-year-old, they didn't deal with their mother being part of. She didn't even come home from school. She went to school thinking I was coming home that day. She was staying with my mum. And my mum told her, she just, sorry.
No, thank you. Your story is really moving, and I just appreciate you being so honest and open, and so just take your time.
Yeah, so it's a scream I'll never forget. I'll never forget it. Sorry.
That's all right. Right, so Eileen's
Take your time, Eileen.
Yeah, she's just taking a little break. It is emotional. She's gone through a really, really challenging time, as I say. That's is traumatic, she's had a lot to deal with. And it's funny when she mentions being living on Woodborough Street. We lived on the same street. And so, like I say, every time she mentions places in Bristol, it brings me back to my childhood, and I remember all those places.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. You take your time.
Yeah, so for my daughter, it hit hard, I'm in there thinking, can she do this? It's like I was, because she would if she wanted to go out, she would wait until I call, or she'd write me a letter to ask Mum, you're still my mum, can I go here, can I go there? And I felt like I still wanted to have that parental control, you know what I mean? I knew I couldn't, because I'm not there to say yes or no, or and so Mum said, you can't do that, you got to let me grow her up the way she sees fit, So I had to let go of that, let my mum grow her, but she rebelled terribly, she rebelled. She left school with no GCSEs, you know what I mean? Half the time she wouldn't go. She would just go out and come back. She would listen to my mum, and then she got pregnant. She was pregnant. I think she was 15 when she first got pregnant and lost it. And then she got pregnant again. In that time, it was crazy because I'm in there worrying about her. Like, if I go back, let me go back a bit because I got bail. She was 12 when I got bail. And I come out, she turned 13. And I went back in again when she was 15. So that 2 years at home, there was always that thing, am I going to go back? Am I going to get off? Am I going to get not guilty? You know what I mean? But I never, 2 years when I tried every trick under the book to get off, to save her. I thought about running away, going to America. But I'd be forever looking over my children. I didn't want that. I just wanted to just do my time. But, our parents are like, it's so embarrassing because our parents don't like to talk about certain things. They brush everything under the carpet. You know what I mean? And it's always been like that. Regardless if you're from Jamaica, Barbados, what small country, our people are just like that. So they just wanted me to go away. I said, I'm not going anywhere, I'm going to stay here. I had to do my time. I had to come out. If I stayed in, I went in first at 98, I came out 2002. But because I got a 2 years bail, I went back. It's recording, isn't it?
I will have to wait for her to come back. Her story is so moving.
I'm so sorry about that. I'm at my mum's house and the phone just went off. I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, so, yes, if I'd stayed in, I'd have came out 2002, but because I got the 2 years bail, I was glad to get the 2 years bail because it was some comfort for her, but she was going through a rough time and she had no one around her. Apart from my immediate family, she had nobody around her to give her that support and that love and that care. My friends didn't give a shit. You know what I mean? And it's not until I came out, I actually realized that how horrible they really were. But even though my daughter was telling me, Mum, they treated me bad, I didn't understand. I tried to find, I don't know, when I didn't believe her, I could understand why somebody would be so horrible knowing that their parents not here. Why do you treat a child like that? But when I was here, you always got her around you, Karina this, Karina that, come and stay with me, do this. But when I'm away, it's like, she turned into Cinderella, And I thought, how could it be so cruel? So all that, what Karina had, she held on to it. She wouldn't do the counselling. I said to her to do the counselling. She wouldn't do it. It's like she just wouldn't do it. She thought she could deal with it on her own and fight it, but she couldn't fight it. Up to this day now, me and her do not have a relationship. We don't even talk. She got 4 kids, and her kids listen to her Karina badmouth me. I understand she will badmouth me. Yeah, because there's a lot going on for her in her head still, And when I came out, I was really cold. I was a cold person that let nobody in. Emotionally, I was so cold. Even when Karina would talk, I would listen to her. I wouldn't answer her. That's the thing, I wouldn't answer her. Ask me now why, I don't know. Because I had that piece locked off. I had locked that piece part of my life away. So for me to bring it back up was too much and she didn't understand. You know what I mean? Even now, what you just seen, I think I would have cried. You know what I mean? But it hits home. It really just hit home, And the block again, sorry.
That's all right. So can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
Was Karina's dad around at the time that you went inside? Did you have a relationship with her dad?
No. He chose to walk away. When I came out to Bristol, we used to live together in London. When I came out to Bristol, he had a choice and he wanted to walk away. His choice was, I want to have a break from you and Karina. And who takes a break from a child? So at that point, I knew that was it for me. You're not coming back into my daughter's life. You know what I mean? So even though I went in, and when she got to 7, I said to Karina, do you want to see your dad? I asked her, do you want to see him? And she said, yes. And I gave her a choice. We went to her dad's house, my grandma's house. She wrote a letter. We got in contact. But it was it wasn't sincere what was coming from. And then he had a drug problem as well. So I didn't want my daughter around that. You know what I mean? So I said, you know what? I'm going to make the decision now. You're still staying away from my daughter and me. I didn't want that around me. But when I went in, he had a choice. If it was me, the reason why you're staying away, he had a choice. He could have come back into her life, and you could have came back into her life. But you waited for 3 years, almost 4 years of my sentence before you approached her. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he went off to another country to live with a woman. He's one of them men, they blame the woman for everything. It's your fault. Your workers paid money or this or that, whatever. But I wasn't a crackhead, where he was, and I wasn't going to have him around my daughter. I wasn't doing it. But when she was 16, when he came back into her life, and now, I don't know if they got a healthy relationship. I'm not sure, but they do see each other, correspond or whatever. I don't talk to him because I believe he's a wicked man. So I just stay away. Let her deal with him. Their relationship is, I think it's quite myself. Their relationship isn't what it's supposed to be. You're not daughter and father in the right way. Meaning it's like you've got a vendetta against me, both of them. You know what I mean? That's how they got together, because there's a vendetta against me. That's how I feel. So I just leave them. My daughter don't speak. I don't speak to her dad. My grandkids I don't see anymore. Yeah, because every now and again they just don't talk to me. She takes the kids away from me. I can't see them. So my sentence have basically ruined her mentally, emotionally. Yeah. I took time talking to Karen the other day. I said, in lockdown, I started a podcast myself. It's called In the System. It was about parents who've been incarcerated and their children and how it affects their children. I've done some interviews. I have done some interviews, and I believe the justice system needs to make changes, because all those children, the abuse that they get and the trauma they're left with. Because when I went away, Barnardos weren't doing no form of counselling to children, but now they are doing counselling to children. But, there wasn't anything there for Karina at the time, even though she wouldn't have done it, but they should have offered it. They need to give out more. You know what I mean? I know that drug sentences are quite high. They are. But they need to lessen it, and they need to do some kind of what did I say to you today, Karen? House arrest? Was it house arrest?
Yeah, that's right. House arrest.
Yeah. And, at least you could be at home with your kids. You could still grow your children. You know what I mean? But what they go through, and it just goes on, it's like what's it called? Triple effect?
Yeah.
It is good from me to her kids. And the way they're being brought up and the hate they're being shown, it's going to go on to their kids. Their kids, and it just goes on and on, and it doesn't stop.
Cycle.
It doesn't actually stop. So it is hard. It really is. I've been at what now? 20 years, almost 20 years. That time she could have healed, and I can't tell nobody when they should heal or how they should heal or when they should do counselling, because it's not me going through it. It's her. I obviously am. It affects me. It does. But for Karina, it's crazy. And the thing is, when I look at her, I can see her pain. I can see it all.
Of course.
And I'm not just blaming my friends. I blame myself as well. You know what I mean? So it ain't just, I'm just blaming them, saying this, then. No, I had a choice as well. You know what I mean? Even though they switched on me, but I still have a choice.
Yeah. So, Kay or Sarah, do you have any questions for Eileen?
Eileen, you mentioned your early experiences, and I was trying to look up while you were talking the adverse childhood experiences scale, just to give me an indication of how it would have impacted you growing up and what you needed as well. Yeah. Did you get any help?
No.
Yeah. So you had three or more ACEs. It's really an indicator that help is needed. So you had a bereavement, which you didn't understand, but what probably was traumatic, which is why you couldn't understand why everybody was crying, but it was there. So you had that. And then the sexual abuse, which is significant in and of itself, but something you try to manage by yourself till you got to 16. But that would have impacted your self-esteem, your thoughts and ideas about yourself, even about your body and your body changing, And then after the disclosure, no help. You said your mom had breast cancer as well?
Yeah, she had it. I think I was 11. Shit, sorry, I was 11, yeah.
Yeah, so again, a parent facing a life-threatening illness.
Dad wasn't there. He wasn't there at all, He didn't look after us or nothing like that. It was just...
So it would have been your only parent, and now they're having to deal with something life-threatening. How absolutely frightening.
It was. And it was. And my brother was in prison,
And then your brother was incarcerated,
yeah. And then my sister and my other brother. But it was just crazy. Sometimes it's like I wasn't even on this earth. You know what I mean? I was so far away mentally.
Well, I can imagine dissociation and taking a mental break from it helped to keep you sane, because that's a lot of itself without any help. So you didn't get any help. So firstly, I want to say, before I even move on to think about Karina, is I feel for you as a child who also suffered so much and didn't get any help. So you would have parented from the template you had of parenting.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
So it repeats. Yeah. So
I was speaking to my mum the other day, and I said to her, I always felt like she didn't love me. She said, "What do you mean like that?" But sometimes parents can be so cold. American parents are cold. I mean, they can be cold when they want to be cold.
Oh yeah. You know what I mean? We talk about that on this podcast. Yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because sometimes I think to myself, wow, Mum, when I was younger. But, even when I was at school, I went for a lot of races. We went for crazy racism and not leave school.
Oh, my goodness. Let's add that to the score.
Yeah, and it was, I got suspended 9 times. And I should be expelled by the 3rd time, but they couldn't expel me. Then when I talked to my mum, it was like, when my friends come to the school, they're like, they listen to the teachers. They listen to what you got to say, because the teachers are always right. But you see, that generation there, crazy. But when it was me, it was completely different with Karina. I've been in the system. I know what the teachers are like here. I know what the races and the little games they play. It's a lot.
You touch on an important point there, that generation of parents, they're not your allies when it comes to school and schooling. When I grew up, if the teacher beats me for not learning, I'll never forget this. This is the one sticks out in my memory, for not knowing the 7 national heroes and their names. I got beaten for that, right? And my mother heard I had gotten beaten at school before I got home, and she beat me again because I had gotten beaten at school. So what were you doing while you gotten beaten in the first place? You see the trauma. It's the teacher is God, and they would never challenge them.
Yeah, you can't challenge that.
Yes, so I understand that. So I'm going to pause so Sarah can jump in, Eileen. We'll come back.
Right.
Yeah, Eileen, thank you so much for sharing your story. I just wanted to ask about, was there any support network, apart from your mum, when you went inside and your daughter was 12, was there anybody else there that was willing to help support your daughter at that point?
They call themselves friends, but they weren't friends. They should have support, women support. They mentally abused her. They mentally abused her. When Queen was explaining to me, I couldn't understand. Since I didn't believe her, I didn't understand how some people can be so cruel. People can be so cruel. They got kids of their own. But people that actually have children, because I before I've seen things and I should have contacted social services. I'm honestly serious safeguarding around them people. So I really blame myself again, you know what I mean, for thinking and that them. And as I said, I can't keep blaming them. I had a choice.
Yeah, it's just complex, isn't it? And like you said about your sibling going into prison as well, and kind of history repeating itself. You mentioned your mum, the parenting style being quite cold. So when you went inside, was she maybe not able to give your daughter the warmth that she needed and the support because she just wasn't able to? Because again, she was parenting, I guess, how she'd been parented. Again.
That's true. But yeah, I mean, my mum spoke about that, the way she was parented. But the thing is, you're in England, you see things differently now. Not in Jamaica anymore. You know, and Karina rebelled a lot as well. So my mum really did try to put her foot down. You know, it was one of the time when, you know, I got a call to phone. They phoned the prison service, phoned her. When I phoned her, and they were telling me Karina's being locked up on a murder charge. And they raided my mum's house, even to close up the washing machine. Everything was crazy. And the person that they really wanted was one of my friends. Not for the murder. They knew who murdered him. But Karina was sat in the car with the guy they thought murdered the guy. But he didn't murder him. It was just hearsay. So they came to my mum's. They did everything, raided the house, everything. My mum was in Italy at the time. So when she got back, she heard what happened. But see, my head's gone again. Block.
No, that's okay. It's interesting you're saying about your daughter as well, and then even though she wasn't involved in it, again, it seems like history started to repeat itself. I mean, does your daughter, like you're aware now, is your daughter aware of these cycles and things repeating themselves?
Yes, she is. She definitely is. She is, yeah. But the only thing her son's growing up. He just opens a barber shop. 19-year-old, the 18-year-old granddaughter is going to uni next year, and the 15-year-old and the 8-year-old are still in school. But she really turned it around, you know, for her kids. And I'm happy for her, and I really am proud of her, what she's done with children. That, in that sense, but for me, is a negative, the way she views me and looks at me. So, yeah. What I can do, keep doing is praying. I just keep praying and praying and praying.
Praying. I mean, finding strength through prayer, if that works for you. And also, how about somebody sitting with you and your daughter and doing some kind of mediation between you both?
You know what? The other day, a situation came up, and my sister jumped in and tried to do it. And what's coming out of her mouth, what's coming out of her is pain. She's talking to me with attitude. It's like, I just want to go bang on your back, just vomit it out, that kind of thing. Let's get it out of you, you know what I mean? So I can't talk to her when she's like that, because the disrespect I can't take.
She's angry, isn't she, from the pain?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. She's still angry. It's getting worse. And then when I done the last walk of Holloway, I'm not sure if you heard about that. When Holloway closed down in 2018, but last year they did the last walk of Holloway, where they invited ex-inmates to come back in and just walk around and feel the place, and you know what I mean? But for me, I was like, wow, because I asked my daughter if she wanted to come. She said no. She didn't want to bring that back up. All right, then. You have to write a letter to someone who was, well, she wrote it to me, but I had to write a letter to someone who was significant when I was doing my sentence. I wrote it to her. So, yeah, sorry. So, I wrote a letter to her, and when I went back to the last of Holloway, they said, I want to read the letter out, and do my sister want to read my daughter's out for me? So she said, yeah. So I didn't mind, but even those lights came on. It was like I was just like, when I started to read the letter, everything that I went through in prison came back in my head. Everything with Karina, everything just came straight back up. Like I was just I say to Karen the other day, they have this thing what they call free flow, where the whole prison meets at a certain time, walking down the corridor. And when I walked down the corridor to go towards the visiting room, like I could hear it all over again, everyone talking and laughing. I said, look at this, it's crazy. You know what I mean? So it really, I tell you, people come out of prison and say, once you do over a certain amount of time, and I can't say that because everyone carries their own luggage, their own weight, their own trauma, their own everything. Yeah. So someone might go in there and do 6 months. I probably can't deal with it. But I met a girl, I've tried everything in 1 month. I met a girl when she was 18. And she came in as 18 and she left. No, she came in prison when she was younger than that. She came from YO to High Point, but she left as an adult.
Wow.
I was saying to her, yes, how did you do that transition? I was doing my podcast. I was like, how did you do it? How did it feel? You know what I mean? So I think she got 12, and I got 9. There's women in there who did 17 years, some 20, some life. So I might have done 9 years, but that was nothing to someone who was doing 18. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So, yeah, so I didn't go back to the letter, sorry. So when I read the letter and everything came back to me, I said, nah, when my sister read out my daughter's letter, that's what hit me in the chest. Like, no. She wrote it like it was happening that minute. You know what I mean? Everything came out. This I can send it to Karen, actually, so you can listen to it. You know? Yeah, but, you know, every day I keep thinking it's over. It's like I'm reliving it. Sometimes I just relive it. You know what I mean? Like, talking about it now, it's like, but I think it's a form of counselling for me as well. Right here now. You know?
I'm glad that you're getting something out of this.
Yeah.
And I can hear that it's really painful. It sounds really raw. You know, you talking about it now, it's just bringing it all back. And it's really hard. Did Karina ever visit you while you were inside?
Yeah. Yeah, she did. I met this girl called, I'm not going to mention her name, met this girl in there. She was really, really, when it became close, you know what I mean? And she really, when she did 2 years. It's in 1 year. Yeah, she got 2 years in 1 year. So when she went home, she made sure she'll bring Karina back every 6 weeks on children's visits to see me. And I said, God always leaves someone there for you. You know what I mean? She sent me money. She sent me certain little things I needed. She made sure Karina was all right on the outside. You know what I mean? She was always there. I made her my first grandson's godmother, because she deserved it. You know what I mean? I can't give you more than that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. How wonderful.
Yeah, I had to do that for her. So, and Karina and her got on well. You know what I mean? She just pick up Karina for the coach station, bring her to Holloway, not to Holloway, to High Point. She'll bring her to they have an open prison I went to, East Sutton. Yeah, East Sutton Park. You know what I mean? Some people are just, you know, she's out of my life now because she's just made changes in her life. And she doesn't want to be around nobody who's got conviction. I said, Sasha, that's your choice. You know what I mean? But we didn't leave on bad terms. She said, I got to go, Eileen. You know, I got to, you know, she wants to walk a different road, but I'm walking a different road. But I still can understand why you don't want to be friends. I said to myself, why do you want to be friends? You know what I mean? I don't understand why you have to shut me down. Because
perhaps it reminds her of where she's coming from and what she used to be, her old life, perhaps. And maybe she just wants to kind of, I don't know, be like a bit of a butterfly, just a new beginning. And maybe she feels as if you are part of her past. Not that it's personal to you. That's what I'm guessing. I've never met, I don't know, but just from what you said.
No, it's true though. That's so true, yeah. But there's some cool girls I've met I'm still in contact with now. You know? It's about 3 or 4 I keep in contact. Yeah, man. Because not everybody in prison's bad. Not everybody either.
Yeah.
Especially not in this country. We are always given harsher sentences. Even a recent research report came out, confirmed that again. You know, in the justice system, we are treated far more harsher than our white counterparts. And so even the idea that Karina might have needed to stay attached to you and to keep that attachment bond by giving her some support, they wouldn't even have thought about that. I doubt that would have crossed their mind, but that's what she needed.
You know what I mean? So 20 years on, I'm sat here, you know what I mean? Like, nothing's changed. I might as well still be incarcerated.
Are you hopeful that one day she'll be open to having? Yeah.
No, she will. She'll come to me.
Sure. Yeah. And perhaps because the mediation was done, did you say with your sister?
Yeah.
Maybe she needs somebody who's not in the family, like a completely impartial person.
I was about to say, you need something like someone that's nothing to do with you guys at all.
Yeah.
They can remain neutral between you.
Yeah.
But also a therapist who can hold both your pain and loss and anguish.
Even though my sister's a counsellor, but she can't counsel her family.
No, it's too close.
You can't you can't work with your family. No way. No.
Yeah, it's crazy. But, you know, I'm here and I'm surviving. I'm survived. I tend to time, but a lot of things are going on behind it.
Eileen, how do you stay strong?
How do I stay strong?
Yeah.
Do you know what? I'm a strong person anyway, naturally. I'm just a strong person. I shut a lot of things down. Because you have to. Because sometimes I'll get up and I think negative. I let go of that. Can't. You know, that's why I have to continue with my podcast, because it's good to talk.
Definitely.
It's definitely good to talk. Sorry, let me come back to you. When I was in prison, I done 4 years counselling.
Ah, okay.
You know what I mean? Because my daughter was playing up so much, I had to do counselling. You know? So that got me through my sentence as well. You know? But yeah, I stay strong. It's just like working, just keeping my mind focused, you know what I mean, on something else more than a negative. And I'm here with my mum. I care for my mum as well. So that's a beautiful thing. I care for my dad as well before he passed. Now I care for my mum. So you can't make these things really bring you to a level of depression and madness. That part of my life is gone.
Yeah, definitely. Thank
you. It happens. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, on a happier note, it's your birthday coming up soon, isn't it?
Yes.
Are we going to celebrate?
We are definitely going to celebrate, mate.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
Eileen, I wanted to ask if there was anything in the present moment. No, let me go back a bit. You got pregnant with Karina at 17. Would you say you were bonded to her, or the attachment had formed? Don't have to answer if you don't want to. It's a big question.
You know, my daughter came out of me the spit of her father.
Oh, man. Oh.
Spit. Until my mum and my sister said, oh, my God. This twin. She came out the spit.
Yeah.
And I had so much, because when I got pregnant, I told him he left. The thing that I told him I was pregnant, he left.
Right.
Yeah, and I had that hatred there already. You know what I mean? So come on, looking at him. So what can I say? My mum just took over.
Say no more.
My mum took over.
Say no more. But considering that you were already so traumatized, by that point, you know, attachment would have been hard to form even if she looked like you.
Yeah.
Because parent-infant psychotherapy says mother and daughter are born together, or parent and child are born together. So it's like giving birth to yourself, and where you didn't get any support with the sexual violation, being in your body to even give birth can be really difficult and triggering. So it started from there, really. Then she became a teen mom. So
Yeah. It's like,
patterns repeat, but she was also in a lot of pain and very angry, lashing out. I wondered if there's anything we can do to help your process in reconnecting, purely because what we know about trauma and trauma recovery is it can happen. Your brains develop from the bottom up, so they can be repaired from the bottom up. So it would be a process. If she was open or when she's open to it, it will be so important that you get the right help to rebuild that attachment. I hear how much you want it, and, sending positive light and love and healing to you and your family hopefully can happen. But is there anything that any of us ladies here can do to support the process?
No, I don't know. I'm not laughing.
Well, if we can.
Listen, if I could say, go get my daughter for me, do it. Go get her, talk to her, help her.
Go get her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe she needs some help, just herself first, because Eileen, that you said about the pain and it's coming out as anger. She's just full to the brim, isn't she? Basically, I can imagine she's incredibly uptight. There's people that are just spitting flames right, left, and centre. So she probably needs to, you imagine a bucket and slowly letting parts of the water out gently, not the whole bucket going over, because that would be could be very re-traumatizing her. But I think maybe for her, could she find a space that she's just open at least to speak about herself? Yeah, that would be good, rather than just diving in there and speaking about the relationship between both of you. It's quite useful sometimes for people just to speak about themselves in the present, and how they are, and then in the end they'll speak about themselves. But
there's no relative before you would do counselling, so she didn't already. So you didn't do counselling, But there's no way of me getting through to her to do it, to ask her or suggest.
I don't think it could be you. I don't think it could be you. I think somebody else would have to talk to her. Someone else would have to talk to her that she has no emotional attachment to.
Right, and there's
make a suggestion, or wonder what this would be like. We call it wondering, don't we? I wonder what this would be like. How would this be for you? Wonder, how that would be for you if you were to decide to do that, and then you just drop it in there. And leave
the process started with the letters, which sounded quite powerful.
Yes, that's what she got worse. That's
the letters.
Yeah,
because it started something, but it didn't finish it, and she was opened up again, almost left bleeding out metaphorically, and no one helped her to heal. So it was the start of her process. So finishing off would be great.
And I think that is a positive, really, that she was able to be so expressive, and that you could hear her pain. And we were talking about this the other day, weren't we? We were saying that you were saying to me that when you hear her talk about it, it's really difficult for you sometimes, and you feel as if you understand and you get it, but you feel as if you want to move on. And what I was saying to Eileen, ladies, is that Karina isn't ready, possibly, right? So sometimes just validating someone's feelings, just hearing it and having to sit in that discomfort, it's hard and it's painful for you. But I think at this moment now, she needs you to sit in it and just hear her, however painful it is for you. Yeah. Until she's able to kind of move forward, and perhaps she's just not quite in that space yet. And she's such a beautiful girl. The last time I saw her, was in Bristol, and she's just such a lovely girl. And like you, I'm really hopeful that she, in time, will heal, and she will be able to have, some form of relationship with you again.
You remember I said on the last week's podcast that we have to allow our children to reject us too?
Yeah.
That's the most painful part of parenting.
Absolutely.
Eileen, the mom she's raging against isn't the mom we're talking to today. She's raging against the internalized mom, the one who left her. Not by your choice, but you mentioned a scream, and I felt that. And if that was her scream, that's probably where she's still stuck.
That's right. That's right. She is. Yeah.
She's raging at the internalized mom of years ago. On her, counseling her, you've done so much on your own healing journey, but she doesn't know that, mom. So take comfort. At some point, all our children will go through a position of needing to reject us. They come back. But because there is a lot of historical patterns and trauma, she'll need a little bit more support. And that's why I ask, because we may not be able to do it ourselves, but we have a network. You never know who might know. 6 degrees of separation. If she's ready, when she's ready, we might be able to help.
So what are you, counsellors or?
Yeah.
The counselor?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I am currently retraining as a child and adolescent psychotherapist as well, because I want to make the impact very young.
That's right.
So, 8-year-old you, 9-year-old you would have been in my office. And that's where the healing would have started.
Yeah, but them days, man, there's just no one to.
Did we even see counselors who looked like us back in those days?
Please.
Nah. Exactly. So when Karina was rejecting, I wonder what she was rejecting.
Yeah.
Was it the counseling, or was it the system that broke her family? Because I suspect if she had seen a Black therapist, she had seen Sarah, myself, or even Karen in a school situation, it might have given her a different experience of therapy.
Definitely. I think that. And Eileen, I second what Karen says. I mean, I'm a child and adolescent counsellor, and I'm integrative, and I work with the arts and play therapy. That's what I specialise in. So maybe for your daughter, it might be quite useful. And I do this with adults as well, is for her to be able to access the arts. To explore how she feels. Maybe she's not a person that can sit like we are, face to face, talking about her life. Yeah. That doesn't work for everybody. So there's different ways to work with people to maybe less intrusive for her. I am hopeful too. I'm hopeful. It's very rare that I meet somebody, especially a fellow black woman, that will sit opposite me and say, "No, I don't want to talk to you." No, in fact, I've never ever had it in my life.
Nor
if
I.
She was here, she would talk. She would talk to us. Yeah, she's, so I'm hopeful. Yeah. I'm hopeful, Ali. Maybe, like Kay said, maybe even if it's not us, could we look at our network when she's ready?
Yeah.
And try and find somebody to talk to her.
And
you're ready, Eileen, I feel, but it's more about when she's ready at the moment.
Yeah, I just need her to. You know, I didn't need her to do it.
Yeah.
So unlike Kay and Sarah, I'm not a counsellor. I'm a education mental health practitioner. So my work is predominantly in schools. And had there been someone in my position when Karina was in school, perhaps that would have been another way in. And I'm so thankful that actually, this post is now in place for, young people who are struggling in education.
Yeah. Yeah, she didn't go. She wouldn't do anything. She wouldn't go to school. She just out. You know what I mean? But it's not. Sometimes, like, you have to search your soul. I had to search my soul, and so much things came out of it negative. You know what I mean? And it said, you know what? I got to do better. I tried doing better. She doesn't want to know, so I got to let her come to me now. When she's ready, she'll come to me.
Yeah, it's a waiting period now.
Yeah.
It's a waiting and a watchful period now, different from when you were incarcerated.
Yeah.
But still a wait that is painful for you to hold. But I think it will pay off in the long run.
Yeah.
If you hold. And the support is offered to you too. Not just Karina, but to you too. You both suffered. As Karen said, she would have impacted on Karina, but also she would have impacted on you. You were getting suspended how many times? If there was a Karen in your secondary school, you never know.
That's true. That's so true. Yeah.
Well, so anything else you wanted to ask Eileen, or anything else we want to cover?
Not on my side. I think Eileen's been very, very open. And thank you, Eileen, for being open and speaking from your soul. That's what we're all about here. And not even just on this podcast. As people, we are women that speak from our soul. We don't BS.
Yeah.
We don't, fluff around stuff. We just speak from our heart. And you've done that today. So I just want to say a massive thank you for coming on here and sharing your story and being so open. Yeah, so thank you.
And something else I wanted to mention, because Eileen, you said, certain communities don't talk. And I think that's one of the reasons why we started this, because it's so important to talk. I want my children to be able to talk about things as uncomfortable as they may be. It's really important. And I want our community to be aware of that. I want to sort of, get rid of the stigma attached to mental health and, emotional well-being, and just talk about stuff. So again, I'd like to say thank you so much for being so honest, so open, so real. Really appreciate it. Thanks for sharing.
For me, Eileen, thank you. It's quite a remarkable story. And I'm so grateful that you've chosen to share it with us, because you're right, we don't talk enough in our community about the deeper issues that matter and how generationally we will pass on our pain that we haven't healed from. And that's one of my passions. Let's do the talking. Let's do the healing from the inside out. We expect others to respond to us in a certain way, but then we hurt ourselves too. Really appreciate you sharing your story. Our listeners may have questions for you. If they do, are you happy for us to pass it on privately through Karen?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, and thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're all welcome. Well, thank you so much for listening to me also.
So you have a podcast yourself, which I'm going to check out. What platform is it on?
It's not on none yet. I did a few interviews and I put it out there yet.
Right.
It's always one thing happens. It's always my life is full of chaos sometimes. So I didn't get to put it out there. Done interviews. Well, a few, not a lot. But to listen to some people, where they're coming from, it's mad, But yeah, when it's out there, I'll get it back. I'll let you know.
Yeah, I'd love to subscribe and listen. Yeah.
Yeah, I needed this. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
You come to my party. You can come to my party if you want.
Oh, when is it? Where is it?
I was in London, Islington.
Will there be curry goats?
No curry goat.
Will there be plantain?
What?
Plantain, saltfish, ackee, bami. No, we're not eating, Eileen. We're not eating.
No,
okay. I'll eat before.
Eat before, or there's McDonald's at the road 24 hours.
Yeah, I'll eat before. Happy birthday when it arrives. Celebrate wildly. You're here for a reason.
Yeah, I am. We all are.
Celebrate. Karen, I don't feel like torturing you this week with the contact details. So, Sarah, would you mind?
So, guys, you can find us on Instagram at Beautifully Melanated Podcast. Our email is beautifullymelanatedpodcast@gmail.com. And we are also on YouTube under the same name. We're going to have some very, very exciting announcements coming about our podcast soon. So we'll be sure to keep you posted on that. But buckle your seatbelts, because it's going to be good. So, yeah. Thank you very much for listening.
Yes, we are.
What's the name?
Beautifully Melanated Podcast.
At Beautifully Melanated Podcast.
All right, you could just send me a WhatsApp after.
Yeah, Karen will send you all the details, Eileen.
I'll send you the details.
Karen will do it.
I will.
I know you will, Karen.
Yeah, no.
So next week, we're going to continue our adolescence part 2. So tune in then and see you guys. Take good care. Bye for now.
Bye. Beautiful. beautifully.